My name is Edward D. McKinney, and I am speaking for TwoProphets.org. Today is June 24, 2011, and what I am doing is I am putting my newsletter dated from January 16th, 2011 on YouTube because this particular newsletter has predictions from my Bible study research of the past and the future. And this web page has proved to be very popular, and I would like to tell you about predictions that I made in the past that came true based upon my Bible research, and predictions of the future that I believe will come true. And these predictions might be quite astonishing to you because I'm predicting the death of Obama in office by accident very soon. I need to emphasize that I am not a prophet. I am not telling people that I am a prophet, and what I am predicting is not prophecy. I am only telling you what I found in my research of Bible prophecy, and if things come true, it is because the prophecy was there in the Bible, and I just was fortunate enough to find it. Okay, one by one. Let me cover past predictions. And to my credit, I would like to quote somebody that you might know, but I won't give his name. He is a documentary producer for the History Channel. And after reading my predictions, he had this to say, quote, "I find it truly astonishing that you predicted both a black president and another Clinton in the White House at a time when both those seemed impossible, as well as mutually exclusive," unquote. So what were some of the past predictions that I made? In 1991, I made the prediction little-known couple named Bill and Hillary Clinton would be in the White House as the first family in 1993. When I made that prediction, it was in front of a Black Methodist congregation, and they were quite astonished. They were so astonished that after the Clintons actually did get voted into the White House, they asked me back to explain how in the world I ever knew that in advance. Along with that prediction, I said that an innocent man would be murdered in the White House by the first family. The motive would be real estate, and the murder would not be avenged for many years. When the murder is avenged, God will personally make sure that the man is avenged in like manner. Well, that came true. The man's name, Vince Foster. He was murdered over real estate, and he has not yet been avenged. Another prediction I made was that the First Lady would arrange the murder of Christians by government troops. Yes, that did come true. Christian men and children were purposely burned to death by government troops at Waco, Texas. And there were video images of a government flamethrower, which I saw with my own eyes, and these made it onto some news stations, but they were not covered in detail, and we have to speculate why the news media did not put this up to the public. And it could have been that the White House suppressed those news releases, especially the video showing the government flamethrower dousing the building with gasoline. I also predicted that Washington, D.C. would be under siege by an attacking army. And that sounds ridiculous, but in fact it happened. That was the event of 9/11, when the Pentagon was under attack, the World Trade buildings were doomed, and the White House was under attack. The army that attacked Washington, D.C., Pentagon in 2001 was Al-Qaeda under Osama bin Laden. Washington went into siege mode, and the president, Bush II, withdrew in Air Force One. Also, I predicted that the leader of the invading army would be captured, but he would be secretly released by the president because they were like brothers. But eventually the president or presidents, plural, who secretly arranged to free bin Laden would be the target of a secret plan by world leaders, and those world leaders would secretly arrange the assassination of that president. And their motive would be revenge and to show the world, especially Americans and American presidents, that they cannot get away with that and expect to live. They will be dealt with. And we're talking about an assassination arranged by the very top leaders of the world in the United Nations, in NATO, in the United Nations Security Council, top nations of Europe, etc., etc. And I would like to say that at this time it seems like Bush too was the one who freed bin Laden, and the motive was that he was involved in oil. And we all know that oil comes from Saudi Arabia and other Muslim nations where Osama bin Laden is considered a hero. So that is where the brother thing comes in, is that Bush was into oil and the bin Laden family was well respected in Saudi Arabia and other countries. So Bush too would not really want to capture and kill a family member of a leading family in the Muslim world. There have also been documentaries on television explaining that every president since Bush too has made a point to prevent the U.S. Army from capturing or killing bin Laden. So we might say that it was not only one president, but it has been a succession of presidents who were involved in protecting bin Laden from the U.S. military. A past prediction that I made that was quite spectacular was that in 2009 a black man would become president or vice president of the United States. And this would be because of the divine intervention by God himself in order to fulfill an ancient blessing that he once made to black people. If you want to know more about this, you need to come to our website and read all the articles that deal with the black race. Well, since then we saw that this has indeed come true, because in 2009 there was a black man who was Barack Obama elected to the White House, despite overwhelming odds, I might say. And this goes to show you that God does whatever he wants to do. And if God wants somebody to be president, he will make them president, including a black man who aspired to be president against all odds. I also said that that black man, who turned out to be Obama, would be a Marxist. And yes, Barack Obama is a closet Marxist and an atheist. And he's probably one of the biggest liars to ever be in the White House. And he has lied about his Christianity in order to fool voters who are Christian. But his actions speak louder than words. And it has been shown time and time again that Obama detests Christianity. And Christians, I might add. Plus, Obama has hired Antichrist as presidential advisors. Anita Dunn, she's an admirer of the Antichrist, Mao Zedong. And this is the extremely low caliber of trash that Obama has hired into the White House on your dime. Plus, Obama, by his actions, buying up control of American corporations with your tax money, goes to show that he is truly, in his heart, a Marxist. I also predicted that Hillary would be back in the White House, and that was from 1991. I didn't know exactly what position she would be in, but it was a surprise to everybody in 2009 when Obama hired Hillary in as Secretary of State. I also said that there would be a Great Depression that would begin in 2008-2009. Well, lo and behold, over 20% of American workers almost instantly lost their job, and this depression is getting worse. And the left-wing press is not following up and telling the American public what is really happening. But there are multiple thousands of job losses all across the United States every single month. And this has been against the emphatic declarations of political leaders and economic leaders who don't want the public to vote them out of office. But government says there is only about 10% unemployment. In reality, there's over 20% unemployment. Okay, here are predictions of the future. I predict that there will be an accidental death of Obama in the White House. Obama would choose to die rather than ask the Christian God for a healing. God would heal him because God is in contact with presidents of the United States. But it would turn out that because Obama is an atheist, which he lies about, he will prefer not to ask God for a healing, and therefore he will die. God will not intervene or force him to be healed. And this, in an indirect way, will follow God's plan. He wants to get rid of Obama. And I have to clarify the manner of death of Obama because Edgar Cayce said that it would be from a gunshot wound. In my opinion, this is not true. And Edgar Cayce was probably envisioned reading newspaper headlines or some propaganda put out by the White House. But in reality, Obama will die of a fall. Obama will fall, perhaps playing basketball or something like that, and he will die from wounds. And he'll have plenty of time to ask the Christian God for healing. But instead, Michelle will go seeking after some foreign god, and the Christian God will be very angry at this. And that will seal the fate of Obama, because Obama asked for a foreign god to heal him. The Christian God will override that and intentionally make Obama die. And the American public will be oblivious as usual, and they will not really know what actually happened. Another prediction is that Osama bin Laden will eventually be assassinated by his own sons and or insiders. The White House claimed to have killed bin Laden, but that is not true. That's an outright lie by Obama, who is a famous liar. I stick with my original prediction that it was an inside job. And Obama himself, when he first broke the news to the American public, said that the American military men were only going to retrieve a dead body. So there you go, right out of the mouth of the great liar. And of course, the Obama would work that breaking news story to be that he, the great hero, brought down bin Laden. In reality, bin Laden had just outgrown his purpose, and there is no reason to keep him alive. Plus, terrorists would want to get rid of him because he has had no activity since 9/11. So new blood wanted to get rid of bin Laden anyway. And probably the agreement that the White House had to keep Osama bin Laden alive was no longer valuable, so Obama decided to use the capture of bin Laden in order to boost his presidential aspiration chances. Okay, another prediction I made was that God's two witnesses would be executed in Washington, D.C. by leading political, religious, and corporate leaders. And this is in one of my e-zine articles to show you the date that I actually made that prediction. But I have since updated that information because I found out that New York City would be the place where the two witnesses would die. And I also found out through my Bible study that it would be Columbus Circle in Manhattan. And that article is available if you want to come to our website. It's one of our newsletters called Columbus Circle. Another prediction is the Biden presidency, which will be cut short. and that will be because of violent social unrest and military coup. America's never had a military coup, but we're about to have one. And Biden and his colleagues will be victims of that military coup, so they better get out of Washington while they can. Okay, the upcoming military coup will be fully supported by the angry American population. They want a clean house in Washington, D.C. And there are going to be hundreds of dead bodies lying around the Washington Mall. And these will be presidential advisors, senators, congressmen, Supreme Court justices, bureaucrats, etc., etc., etc. Okay, who will be the head of this military coup? I predict, but I am not certain, that it will be General David Petraeus and General Colin Powell. They will work together. And it could be that only the military can save the United States because things will be so out of control at that time. Why would things be out of control? How about starvation? How about the U.S. economy becoming so bad and the presidency and the Congress being so far out of touch with the American public that the American public says we have no alternative. It's our government. These people are our servants. We want to get rid of the servants. The servants are uppity. They don't want to leave their cush jobs. So we have to go there physically and remove them because they're disobeying the law. And the law is that the American public is the head of the government. The president is not head of the government. The president is a servant. Congressmen are not heads of the government. They are servants to the public. Supreme Court justices, likewise, are not head of the government. They are servants of the public. And the public can change regimes. The public can do anything they want because the government belongs to him, and everybody in government is a servant of the public. Okay, I predict the violent deaths of every president since Bush 2. And there will also be violent deaths of the Marxist members of the White House staff. Many senators, many representatives, and many court justices. Vince Foster, who was murdered by the Clintons, he will be avenged. The Clintons will die violent deaths. Another prediction I make for the future is that there will be a government reformation for the better. When common citizens take and assume control of Washington, D.C., there will not be a movement to a different type of government. There will be a restoration of the original government. The U.S. Constitution will be restored, and a lot of unconstitutional laws that the left-wing court system has passed will be nullified instantly. And of course the judges will be replaced too. And a lot of their decisions are going to be replaced. All across the United States, people who are hired as judges will instantly lose their jobs, and many of them will be placed under house arrest until they can be prosecuted, and some of them will be executed. I also predict there will be an invasion of the United States by red armies from many countries, and there will also be terrorist nations involved in this invasion, and this invasion will be followed by an occupation. There will be an occupation of the United States for an indeterminate time, and during this time there's going to be a lot of persecution of Christians, a lot of executions, a lot of murders, and there will be a lot of oppression where foreign people take control of farms, businesses, etc., etc., etc. And like on a farm, a rich farmer may end up working the fields while some red Chinese businessman boots him around and tells him what to do. Okay, I predict that government leaders in Washington, D.C., when this invasion or occupation occurs, they're going to make secret deals. And this is actually described in the pages of the Bible. But God will intervene and nullify this secret deal in order to make sure leaders in Washington are slaughtered, along with everyone else who gets slaughtered. Another prediction is that God will use the Red Armies to punish religious leaders and members of their religions, because these people will have been instrumental in murdering God's two witnesses, and God will not let that stand. He will retaliate, and it could be the day comes that your church is going to be burned to the ground, and occupying Red Chinese army is going to burn you alive in your own church building if you're part of the deaths of God's two witnesses and that you support their deaths. At the same time all this happening, there's going to be patriot movements where men and women who have illegal guns are going to fight these occupying armies. And so there's going to be a lot of sabotage and other violence as Americans try to regain control of their government, and they're going to fight practically to the last man. Okay, when God is satisfied that a purge has happened in the United States and all of the people he wants to get rid of are gotten rid of, they're all died off, they are all murdered, they were all put in prison, etc., etc., then he will bless the patriot movement, and armies and navies and Air Force planes from Europe will come to the rescue of Americans and drive out Red Chinese armies and everyone else who's occupying the United States. And that army is going to be slaughtered down to the last man. And there's going to be a massive graveyard where people retreating back to Asia are caught and slaughtered to the last man. But there will be a graveyard for these people, and the name of the graveyard will be the Valley of the Hammer and Sickle. After all of this happens, Jesus and his two witnesses, along with resurrected Christians, will rebuild the world. And Christians who survive all these events will help them to rebuild the United States and other Western nations. But at that time, Marxists, atheists, evolutionists, the corrupt, all the left-wing teachers in universities, all the corrupt people, etc., etc., you name them, they're going to be sentenced to lifetime imprisonment in underground mines. They're never going to see the light of day again. And they will have no chance for pardons, because Jesus Christ, who will be over everybody, is going to deny their pardons. And of course those people, after they die, they will not have eternal life. They're going to die forever. Now, where does this stuff come from? It comes from the Bible. And if you would like to be in the prophetic loop, you need to read some of the things that I have put on the website at TwoProphets.org. So come and visit. And you really need to read the Bible and to read books that explain the Bible. And I would highly recommend my latest book, Gorbachev to Spark Armageddon, because in this book are at least 50 large and eye-opening timelines or calendars of events that reveal what is going to happen year by year right up to the return of Jesus Christ and the recreation of the earth. And you need to be prepared step by step. Jesus Christ said, watch so that you're not caught unawares. Watch so that the times do not come like a trap that catches you and kills you. Well, that's it for now. This is Edward D. McKinney with TwoProphets.org.